Oh, hello. I was just reading my favorite philosophical treatise, The Phenomenology of Spirit by G.W.F. Hegel. Ugh. Look, we can't spend all of our time reading great works of philosophy, or even Hegel. So in my downtime between slaving away for Philibot, I like to watch my favorite television show, The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. Yes, you heard that right. The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, and I love it for at least a dozen different reasons, really I do. But here's the most important one. The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives can be philosophy too, and in this video, I'm going to prove it to you.
One boob might be bigger. Is that better?
No one was innocent. Everyone has hooked up with, like, everyone in the situation.
1, 2, pop, pop.
Like, why am I still on this couch crying? Like, a year later, it's so annoying.
We like dry humped. I fell asleep with her on the couch.
And then you're sitting there telling me that he came over and had sex with you? What does that say about you?
Had a sexual
Oh, I'm glad it took 2.5 years to bring that up.
Anything else?
That's my wife.
Cops are here? Jesse, the police are here.
No. You're joking. It was like X's. It's like a tangled web. Have you watched Secret Lives of Mormon? No.
All right, fair. I've got my work cut out for me. But it really is a show with a lot of philosophical issues and lessons, as you'll see. And besides, when tackling reality television, we philosophers have a secret weapon. It's Nietzsche time. But first, the situation. If you've never seen it, The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives follows social media influencers who are part of a TikTok squad called MomTok. Well, they're not all a part of it anymore. Whitney left, or actually probably got kicked out. It's complicated. And Miranda left because of the big soft swinging scandal with Taylor and Chase. And then the husbands are trying to start their own dad talk thing, which is incredibly lame. And for a while, it looked like there'd be a separate MomTok, which would have Whitney and me. Look, it's not important. Let's just stay on target. Now, one of the influencers is a Mormon wife and mother called Jen, who's described as kind and a sweetheart and innocent. And she's a young mother and she does not like confrontation, except that on a reality TV show, not liking confrontation is a bit of a problem. So Jen has a pretty rough season 2. Oh, right, mild spoilers for season 2, till about episode 4, if you're not caught up. So Jen's pregnant again. Her marriage is breaking down, and she looks to her friends in MomTok for support, but they are not supportive. Either because, from one point of view, Jen has lied to them, or from another point of view, because she's being bullied by some of the other influencers to maximize the drama and their screen time. And the clash of perspectives, as well as the ethics of starting conflicts with serious consequences on reality TV just to get views, is an interesting enough philosophical topic in and of itself, but let's leave that aside. Instead, let's hear from Jen herself about how she is feeling and the choice that she faces.
But I was going to ask how you're doing.
Oh my gosh. Oh, to be honest, I'm not okay right now. I'm like trying so hard not to I'm sorry. I hate crying.
Don't be sorry. Don't be sorry. Don't be sorry.
I just genuinely feel so alone right now. My marriage and where I'm at with all the girls. I just feel like these girls, specifically Demi and Jesse, continue to put me in these uncomfortable situations. And if I do struggle in my relationship, I feel like I can't go to them because I feel like they already have this narrative in their head.
It's well, I already told you should leave him.
Yeah, no, exactly. I feel like I'm definitely in the midst of spiritual warfare where I'm just doubting everything. What's really conflicting right now is since Vegas and everything, I feel like I've distanced myself from church. I feel like I've kind of also distanced myself from God. Mm-hmm. And it's made it really hard for me to know what's best for me. And it's just hard because, like, my relationship with God is, like, everything. And I, like, feel like he's, like, quiet right now. I'm just, like, praying to God. I'm like, just lead me to, like, what I need to do. Like, I want to do what's best for me and my kids.
Right.
And, like, my marriage. In order to have this child right now, there's a lot of things I know I need to work through. I don't even know what I believe in and what my current purpose is.
That's Jen's dilemma. And I know it's TV and she's a reality star and privileged and all of that, but she's also a human being going through something awful. And I feel for her. And Philobot would too if he had feelings. So Jen has much baggage from the past. She regrets and she wants to leave behind stuff, but the others won't let her. And if she's honest with herself, perhaps she won't let herself leave that stuff behind either. Throughout the series, she seems haunted by her choices. Jen faces a future with maybe another child, maybe a husband, or maybe not, maybe single motherhood. And she has pretty big choices to make right now with big stakes. And then there's her social media business and the ever-present spectre of MomTok. The weight of it all for Jen feels unbearable. And she utters a fascinating phrase. She says, God is quiet. She prays. She wants someone to tell her the right answer, but she hears nothing. God is quiet. She knows she must make this decision on her own, and she doesn't know how to without a commandment or a purpose or a meaning to guide her way. And I immediately leapt from my couch, spilling my wine and yelling, "Nihilism! She's talking about nihilism. She's talking about Nietzsche. It's Friedrich Nietzsche time." Oh, and that's philosophy, the hardcore stuff. So strap yourself in because now it really is Nietzsche time. Of course, we're not going to go into all of Nietzsche. He was a complicated fellow, and even Nietzsche experts strongly disagree about how to interpret key parts of his work. Across one book to the next, Nietzsche even disagrees with himself. He's very disagreeable. Also, there's a lot of Nietzsche nuts out there, that I know. He's like a magnet for them. Quick story. Every year, my PhD supervisor, who was a well-known Nietzsche expert, used to get at least 2 or 3 incomprehensible and completely unsolicited manuscripts in the university mail. There were always a Nietzsche nut's grand theory on Nietzsche. I think they wanted her to recommend them to a publisher or something, or perhaps they just wanted her to write back and say, "Hey, you solved Nietzsche," which, of course, impossible. So sometimes she'd pass the manuscripts on to me just out of interest, and they were a lot. One was even handwritten. I mean, handwritten, that is a red flag. So for this video, please, no Nietzsche nuts. I've got to stop saying Nietzsche nuts, PB. It sounds like an existentialist trail mix. Are you lost and alone in the wilderness in total darkness? Then try Nietzsche nuts, now with more Nietzsche. Moving right along, you might know Nietzsche for his famous claim that God is dead and we killed him, which is a whole thing unto itself. But in considering Jen's dilemma, let's talk about what Nietzsche described as his most important philosophical discovery. It's called the eternal recurrence of the same, or also the eternal return of the same. You know, same difference. Or same? Anyway, it goes a little something like this. What if some day or night a demon were to steal into your loneliest loneliness and say to you, "This life as you now live and have lived it, you will have to live once again and innumerable times again, and there will be nothing new in it, but every pain and every joy and every thought and every sigh and everything unspeakably small or great in your life must return to you, all in the same succession and sequence, even this spider and this moonlight between the trees, and even this moment and I myself. The eternal hourglass of existence is turned upside down again and again, and you with it, speck of dust." And Nietzsche asks us a pretty important question. How would you react? Would you jump up into the air celebrating, knowing that you lived the most wonderful moments of your life over and over again? Or would you curse the demon for granting you the torturous fact that you'll live all of the pain and suffering of your life over and over again too for the rest of eternity? Nietzsche thinks that your answer will tell us exactly who you are. Perhaps you're someone who joyfully embraces life, both the good and the bad, or someone who sees life as half empty and hard to endure, even with all the rich experience that it promises. But if we step back a little, for philosophers, Nietzsche's thought experiment has at least 5 powerful consequences. Because the problem Nietzsche's trying to solve is one he's created with his best known works, the problem of the death of God. As we've seen in the previous video, no God means no commandments, no purpose, and no external meaning to guide our way. Perhaps you can already see why I thought of Jen's dilemma. Now, consequence number 1 of the eternal recurrence is that it stares down the nihilism, meaning the belief in nothing, that the death of God has caused. If you are deemed to repeat the path you choose again and again forever, then you better bloody believe that your choices have meaning and consequences, eternal ones, even if they are choices that matter only to or affect you. And the second consequence is that the eternal recurrence changes the perspective from which we think about these choices. Suddenly they're not choices in the moment anymore, or provisional or temporary choices. Instead, they're choices in the grand scheme of existence. They form a part of the path that everything that has happened in the past or happens in the future follows, and that will happen again. It invites us, as Alexander Nehamas points out, to value the small parts of our lives because they form an important part of the whole of our lives. So, for example, instead of making a choice that might feel good in the moment or be cathartic or be an immediate reaction, the eternal recurrence invites us to step back and consider the role of that choice in realizing our life as a whole. To make the right choice for the whole of our lives, as we understand it and want them to be, rather than just deciding a small part of our lives. The third consequence is to give weight to our existence. If there's no God, then there are no souls and no immortal life in the hereafter. But if our lives eternally recur, and Nietzsche does try out some of these logical and scientific arguments for this, but he's never entirely convinced, then it means our existences have a sort of secular immortality. Now, this is controversial, and some commentators caution us from taking Nietzsche too seriously on this. A colleague of mine even wrote his whole PhD thesis on this one idea, a choice that he now has to repeat over and over again, forever. Good luck, buddy. But I take away a key point, that even in a meaningless world, the eternal recurrence allows us to recognize that people and their choices matter, even when the nature of those choices might be subjective. And it invites us to respect others, even without recourse to a religious claim like an immortal soul. The fourth consequence of the eternal recurrence is that it creates a new ethical standard and a new role to aspire to. You must act as if your choice or action is to be repeated over and over and over again. Elsewhere, this has been called the unbearable lightness of being, because it acknowledges the joyfulness and also the heavy burden that accompanies everything we choose. And typically with Nietzsche, the sentiment we succumb to in any given moment really depends on the perspective we choose to take. Nietzsche develops these ideas further and very cryptically in his novel Thus Spoke Zarathustra. And I won't lie, it's controversial, but it is interesting. Fifthly and finally, Nietzsche's eternal recurrence is a model for other philosophers in giving advice without giving advice. Because one of the key problems that we confront when someone comes to us for advice is we want to help them, but we don't want to choose for them. Nietzsche's solution is to give a structure with no content, the eternal recurrence, because it doesn't tell us what to do exactly. We still have to work out that bit for ourselves, but it does give us one potential way to do it. And Nietzsche's not the only one. As we discussed in our existentialism series of videos, those philosophers try to do the same things as well, giving the person seeking help a range of tools to think about their problems, but letting them discover the answers for themselves. So, how does this help Jen and the tough decisions that she faces? Well, firstly, it helps her by not helping her. Or rather, it offers her a different way to put everything into perspective, without telling her what to conclude from that. So instead of making a decision about her marriage based on, what the other MomTok influencers are telling her she should do, which frankly, given the state of their own relationships, is a terrible source of advice, she can step back and make a decision based on how all of this fits within how she sees her life as a whole, or how she wants it to be. And the eternal recurrence encourages her to make a decision that will last, that will let her move forward and grow, because she will have to make the same decision over and over. And if she has to live with the days and the years that follow that decision over and over again, then it's best to make the decision that most improves those days and those years. And Nietzsche has a final bit of advice for Jen too, on suffering and adversity. She has to say yes to it, to affirm it, to look at all the baggage of the past and the terrible things that have happened and acknowledge that they have made everything good in her life possible too, and made possible everything good that will come to her in the future. Easier said than done, sure. Nietzsche had a pretty rough life too, and he knew that well. And that's not to say that Jen should forget the most difficult moments of her life that were painful or traumatic, or that we should either. But it does encourage us to make peace with them, if we can, because they have made us what we are. Again, this is important for Nietzsche because God is dead. To Nietzsche, our main source of forgiveness within this world, religion, it's gone. Instead, he calls upon us to forgive ourselves and to say yes to existence, the bad and the good, to offer everything that has come and will come a joyful embrace, come what may. The secret lives of Mormon wives and thinkers like Friedrich Nietzsche are why I love both philosophy and reality television, even when I fiercely disagree with them. Because for me, a good philosophy does three important things. It suggests a way we can approach and understand the world. It provides a meaningful way to live in the world, and it thinks about what we owe ourselves and each other. And reality television is the stuff of life, even when it's heightened or a little staged or exaggerated. It shows us different worlds in which people live and how those worlds work. It shows us how people make a life for themselves in that world, and it shows how people treat themselves and each other. Reality TV is the very stuff of philosophy, even if it's pretty messy, and even if it's often showing us how we should definitely not do those things rather than how we should. But you know, there are reality shows like Project Runway or Making the Cut or even Clarkson's Farm that show us people being creative, supportive, productive, and doing their best. Reality television has also given us one of the most profound philosophers of our age, who would say to Jen and to Nietzsche and to you and to me,
Make it work.
Thanks, Tim. I needed that. So, hopefully I've proven to you that reality TV can be philosophy too. If you agree or disagree, tell me your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe because that really helps. But until next time, be wise and be kind and
Make it work.
Oh,